Good evening, and welcome to It's All About You, the big promise of big data and the future of travel management. I'm Luther Shoultz, and I'm pleased to introduce Team Andy and Erin. The following presentation and the research behind it was a collaborative effort between all 5 of our expert team members. Today, Kate King and Katharine Williams will present to you what we believe is the next evolution in travel management. Introducing Kate King, Key Account Director at IHG.
Hello, everyone. Welcome, and thank you very much for attending this session. We are thrilled to be able to share our team's research and insights on traveler centricity and the evolution of travel management. We believe that the trend toward traveler centricity in corporate programs will only become more important in years to come, that this increased attention to personalization will be seen in the form of hyper-individualized offerings, and that programs that pull this off successfully will be driven by the adoption of big data. I'm going to begin by highlighting some key trends in managed travel that have really laid the foundation for the integration of data aggregation analysis to propel the reality.
Knock it out.
To propel the reality of true traveler centricity to the next level. Next, I will share some background on the current state of big data and why we believe the corporate travel industry is ripe for this revolution. Then Katharine Williams from Gold Spring Consulting will explain how organizations will integrate big data into their travel programs and share our team's recommendations to travel managers on how they should be preparing for this now. The 2 key trends that we see driving the next evolution of travel management are the myriad individual technological advances that have permanently changed the way we approach business travel, and the more recent trend of traveler centricity, where savvy travel management teams now understand the reality of traveler friction and realize that evolving travel policy to allow more flexibility and comfort can have positive returns in terms of employee engagement and productivity. Regarding technology, some obvious examples would be advances in mobile, wearables, and artificial intelligence. AI is slowly becoming a game changer in the industry. For example, as chatbots evolve, they can help simplify the booking process and improve policy compliance and save companies money by automating tasks. Suppliers are also beginning to use virtual assistants such as Alexa and Siri to offer ultra-personalization. As for traveler centricity, a recent study by ARC, T-Clara, and Amex GBT has shown that travel policy can actually be a differentiator in the recruitment process, and actually cites examples of senior executives negotiating specific travel guidelines into their contracts. Travelers demanding more from their corporate programs is partly an effect of the extreme personalization that's now available in leisure travel booking. We're used to platforms that have tracked our every move and now seem to know us and exactly what we want. And so we're expecting more from our corporate tools. Another trend in the corporate space that sees individuals wanting to personalize their business travel is bleisure, combining business and leisure in a single trip. In Bridge Street's Bleisure report, published by Skift, 60% of international travelers said they've taken bleisure trips, usually adding 2 vacation days to work-related travel. So what is the current state of big data? Big data and advances in computing power have transformed the world's biggest industries, from retail to healthcare to banking, and yes, it is coming to managed travel. Data can now be analyzed by leveraging tools and technology that can combine artificial intelligence, ingrained algorithms, and predictive analysis. There are 2 major trends that have made the application of big data in the consumer industry a real possibility. Number 1 is the exponential rise of data and information on everything, from traveler behavior to sending patterns, browsing history, weather events, you name it. Number 2, the increasing scale of computing power and storage capability, which is now able to assimilate, process, and work with multiple and very complex data sources to generate insights and action. This means that the tools can now gather all the various types of individual data. In travel, this is going to come from as many different touch points as an airline's loyalty program database to airport security systems, any corporate card purchase made on the pre-trip, during the trip, or after the trip, and the traveler's social media profile and even browsing history. And then instantly combine that with macro and external data like current events, weather, and media to create extremely rich insight into why individuals behave the way they do and what they're likely to do next. By being able to harness this data and process it effectively, organizations can derive powerful insights on their spend and their employees' behavior that will enable them to predict trends and take a much more proactive approach to possible disruptors. Putting this information to use is going to be the new mandate for all organizations who want to differentiate themselves and ultimately remain competitive. The future for travel management, as we see it, will be the use of big data to build a complete view of each individual traveler and personalize their experience accordingly. Now I'm going to introduce Katharine Williams, Director of Marketing and Communications at Gold Spring Consulting, to talk a little bit more about how we see the future of big data being integrated into travel programs. Over to you, Katharine.
Thanks, Kate. Now that we've learned a little bit more about the current state of big data, let's address it in terms of the future of travel specifically. Currently, there is a dissonance between the leisure and corporate sectors. And as Kate mentioned, the growing idea of the market of one is gaining steam in the travel industry. Consumers and travelers have been conditioned to expect an Amazon recommendations type experience. This has become the standard to meet for the leisure sector, and it is increasingly becoming the goal for the corporate market. The most recent evidence of this trend is the emphasis by suppliers on direct booking, which allows for richer data aggregation and therefore insights. So how will these trends impact managed travel? One thing we know for certain is that data aggregators will become increasingly important as these trends continue to develop. But it is really in the analysis of the data that it will become even more so. The issue will not be a dearth of data, but rather death by data. We are already experiencing this in feedback from travel managers who are overwhelmed with the amount of data available to them, who are unable to dedicate the time needed or lack the expertise to mine it effectively. The benefit of big data is not found in its mere existence, but in the insights to be gleaned from it and their use in driving program improvement. So what's the solution? Where's the future of big data going within managed travel? We envision a user-friendly dashboard where the traveler will enter their individual usernames and passwords to allow access for richer data aggregation. This is akin to a mint.com idea, which you see on the screen, where access is granted to individual accounts, consolidated and easily displayed for fast analysis and gleaning of insights. Consolidated into an easy-to-use dynamic reporting tool, travel managers and suppliers would have more data transparency and therefore be able to better serve their travelers. Reporting of this nature would also allow for real-time budget analysis. This would benefit the travel manager as well as departmental budget managers within the organization in effectively managing spend. Clear, consolidated data would also benefit negotiations. With both travel managers and suppliers coming to the table with more complete data sets and a better understanding of what is important to travelers, the likelihood of an equally beneficial arrangement for the organization, supplier, and traveler would be more likely. Finally, the depth and breadth of this available data would allow travel managers and suppliers to follow the individual traveler journey, allowing them to more readily provide personalized benefits at the individual level. So, with all this being said, how can you be more proactive in addressing these trends? The first recommendation we have is to increase collaboration between buyers and suppliers, which would allow both sides to provide more personalized communications, benefits, and offers by facilitating and encouraging more data sharing. As mentioned, this would also allow for more strategic negotiations and would promote more creative thinking in providing personalized solutions in regards to service offerings, product enhancements, and ancillary benefits. The next recommendation we have is to increase your internal collaboration between departments like HR, communications, legal, and procurement, among others, to build a more complete traveler profile. In addition to better personalization, this collaboration would also support duty of care initiatives. So a plan is in place and all relevant departments are on board should an incident occur. Of all departments, the one that is probably the most important to increase your collaboration with is IT, however. Most travelers are technologically savvy and are eager to adopt new offerings that make their lives easier as fast as they're available. Evidence of this phenomenon can already be seen in the leisure market. In the future, IT will become more heavily ingrained in all sectors of business, and travel is definitely not alone in this respect. Our next recommendation is that you take stock and know where you stand. One way you can do this is by creating a feedback loop with travelers. In the future, data aggregation and analysis may make the need for surveys less important, but in the meantime, surveys can help you benchmark satisfaction levels of the multiple facets of your program. Asking for comments from your travelers is the first step in determining where improvements can be made. Naturally, with big data, privacy and security are always a concern, and some people may be reluctant to share their information. But what we've found in our research is that millennials are more open to sharing than any other generation in the workforce. In fact, millennials are 3 times more likely to share data in exchange for simple but immediate benefits like free Wi-Fi, and 57% of those 30 and under are happy to give more information if motivated by perks like discounts, extra loyalty points, and free upgrades. As millennials begin to form the majority of business travelers, concerns over data sharing should therefore substantially decrease. Finally, we recommend that you embrace and incorporate features that travelers like about the leisure market into your corporate program or booking tool. Start a discussion with your online booking tool provider and ask about features and development that will make the user experience for the traveler more akin to their preferred leisure tools. As previously mentioned, we believe that the technology capabilities will soon be available to include information from outside the program into your data. However, we encourage you to take action today by increasing your collaboration, embracing the changes that are on the horizon, and taking stock to know where you stand. This will ultimately help put you ahead of the curve and create a more personalized, traveler-centric, and successful program. In closing, we've discussed many trends we know are on the horizon in this presentation, such as increased personalization, traveler centricity, and technological advancements. We address the current state of big data, and we see how it's impacting travel management in the future. Finally, we provided some recommendations for proactive steps that you can take today to prepare. Thank you for your time and attention to everyone this evening. This concludes our presentation, and I would now like to open the floor for questions.